general. You had mentioned that you hire local people in your office, and that you had originally tried to get people who could speak Czech and Polish. But I guess, could you clarify, is the manager of your office, does he or she speak Czech? Or do you standardize on English? How do you communicate between your offices?
Yes, so for us, before, it was important that the manager of the office would be able to communicate inside our team in Prague, because we have specialists in many areas, and some of them don't speak English. So for us, that was important. So that's why we were looking for managers speaking both languages, but it was a mistake. We are now looking for managers that are good in the job they are hired for, and we really don't take care about languages. We speak English.
I see. And my next question is, most of the panel, if I understood correctly, have expanded in Central Europe, if they've expanded or into Germany. And my experience, for example, is just between Germany and the Czech Republic, for example, we end up maintaining legal representation in both countries separate because the laws are significantly different enough. And so would you also, advertisement typically tends to be different between those countries. If you look at expansion into Eastern Europe, what are some of the potential problems you see which are quite drastically different in the alphabet, the religion, the transportation, and the internet access in Eastern Europe versus Central Europe?
Guys, does anybody want to shoot? Well, Jan mentioned that the Eastern markets are of his focus now, so...
Well, you named them all, and maybe not all, but a lot of them. There are more. There is the illegal environment. There is the moral of the issues of conducting business in the sense of getting deals clean. Other things that are obviously a challenge. I don't know that if there is a recipe how to tackle them easily. We just if you decide that you want to go there, you just have to deal with them and go step by step. The checklist of things that need to be sorted. Obviously have a business plan that has got some showstoppers that are just blocks that do not let you continue. And we have these. We have had some experience in getting into new markets. We have failed once. I didn't mention that, but we have failed once entering the German market a few years ago. So I think we learned there as re-entering the market was successful. So.
The problem with the religion, right?
In Germany, not really. It was a problem with the team.
Okay. Anybody else wants to react to differences? Yeah?
We find that, like in Poland, we have a real problem with the distances, because Czech is relatively small. We are in Ostrava in 3.5 hours, but if you want to go from Katowice to Poznań, it takes you like 2 days if you go by car, which this is not recommended in Poland. But like considering the law, we don't find any problems with the law, like considering our core, like core things like selling and operating. We find it really difficult that the law is different in each country considering the employment. Like things you have to do with your employees, and that they don't have half an hour per day, but they have more than half an hour, and then they have another 4 breaks, or so in a day, and stuff like this. That's about it. I don't know how in eastern countries like Ukraine and Russia. Just remember when we were in Ukraine 7 years ago, it was totally different, and we even had to hire our own guard, so we wouldn't get robbed by police. But that's just 7 years ago.
Yeah. Anybody else up for a reaction? I just remember that a fellow investor from the Czech market, who might be in the room, I'm not sure, told me a story which talks about the cultural differences, about a company that they were negotiating with in Bulgaria, and they were in a pretty advanced stage of the negotiations, and they were not worried about two of the founders of the company have missing one finger, before they realized that that's a way how mafia says, okay, this is the first warning. So I think they didn't invest, I'm not sure. I think they didn't. But cultural difference is definitely something to look at. Do we have a question? Yes.
Yeah, hi, Dave Lucius from Brinson. I've got a challenge, I think, actually. The topic was about global expansion. What if the business model by itself and the business by itself depends on being global from the beginning, typically on Web 2.0 community style kind of things? How would you approach this? Because you cannot grow organically from one place to the other one. You need to be there from the beginning. So especially for Yoav, how would you then still maintain the sort of momentum and the need for speed in doing this? Because you have to prove yourself quite quick globally. So.
This is definitely a Yoav question. I will probably then ask Pavel, because there might be global ambitions.
Well, you mentioned Web 2.0. It's interesting. I think sometimes people view the whole Web 2.0, and I mean, this is a phrase that sometimes needs to be defined. I'm not sure if everyone here kind of knows exactly what that means, but it's basically the second generation of internet companies that are based on things like social networking, collaboration. These are companies that are developed very quickly and on the cheap. Many of them are open source. They can get up and running very quickly. I think in the Web 2.0 space, it's a lot easier to be global from day one than I think a lot of the businesses here on the panel. Because with Web 2.0 businesses, if you look after distribution, if you look after global distribution, which basically means you have relationships with portals in different countries, or you have relationships with, even if you just do search engine marketing in various different countries, you can already from day one get traffic from all over the world. So I think it's a lot easier. You could be a global Web 2.0 company sitting in Prague and servicing a worldwide market. So I think that's one of the key opportunities of Web 2.0. And if I didn't answer any part of your question, just let me know.
Dave? Is that okay? Yes. Pavla, do you have a comment? You have big ambitions.
We always have big ambitions. Who doesn't in this room? That's why we are here. But I want to know actually one company which is based in Prague, which is All Peers, and which is kind of a little bit what you all.
It's not based in Prague.
It's not based in Prague, but they do develop in Prague, and the guys are living in Prague. So, yeah. But it's always a question: do you want to be a global company? Isn't it better sometimes to have 30-40% of the local market and to be able to concentrate your advertising powers, your marketing, everything? Or do you want to have just 0.5% of global market? For us, it's a real challenge, and we know that there's tons and tons of business globally, and we are very active in as I said, in Sample, and we go to a research and strategies conference. We try to be on edge and network and stuff like that. But if you go to these conferences and you look at these global players, you really realize that there's 50 of them that are really global, and the rest of them are really local or pretend that they are global, try to be global. So it brings a lot of costs, to be global, to be present, and to be a leader. And if you don't want to be a leader, do you want to be global? Or do you want to find a niche in being global? That's
Well, I think it depends again. It depends on the model. If the model is really depending on the fact of being global and having a community of global people, then there's just no choice.
True. Point taken and understood. Pavel's point is, I think, definitely valid. And we have an example